Hi, I'm Kean Walmsley from the Developer Network team at Autodesk, and I'm going to talk to you today about me, about who I am and why I do what I do. So, let's start at the beginning. I was born in the UK and spent my younger years as a geek in West Norfolk, where I got very interested in computer programming. I always had a strong interest both in computer science and in French, so that's another reason why I live in a French-speaking country today. But those were the real themes as I was going through school, were computer languages and real-world languages as well. I studied computer science, so we have A-levels in the UK, or at the time we had A-levels, I guess we still do now. I haven't been following very much, but I studied sort of maths and the mechanical side of maths, and computer science and French literature, language and literature, I think, at A-level, which took me up to the age of 18. During those last few years, I did work at a local AutoCAD user, so a local plastics manufacturing company that used to make big plastic vessels, or plastic tanks. So I actually got involved with them working on some simple customization routines, some menus, Lisp macros, or Lisp scripts, and that was my first exposure to AutoCAD programming. And it was actually from there, because I was using a package called Dimension N, which was a third-party application written by a company called Aprotech International over in Peterborough at the time. I actually got involved with that package and really started using that very deeply. And it was a parametric design package. It allowed you to basically assign parametric values to different parts of your design in 2 dimensions. So I worked very heavily with this package and actually contacted Aprotech and ended up doing some work with them as well later on while still a student. But that was really when I first got into AutoCAD. That was around release 10. I started with AutoCAD and continued working with it, of course, over the years until I joined Autodesk. But after leaving school at 18, I then went to university at the University of Kent down in Canterbury. And I chose that university because at the time it was one of the few universities in the UK that provided the opportunity to study a full computer science degree, but also spend a year studying computer science in France. So I spent my first 3 years at Kent, and then spent a year, first 2 years at Kent, and then spent a year at the University of Southern Paris studying computer science there in French, which was quite challenging, especially as in French, typically you have a completely duplicated set of vocabulary for every computer science term, but not only that, you're expected to understand English terms as well, of course. So I got my licence d'informatique from the University of Southern Paris during that year, actually 93-94, and then went back to Kent to finish off my 4-year degree, which by the time I finished was actually called a Masters of European Computer Science. So I graduated there, and during my last year at university got contacted by somebody from Autodesk who had been working with Aprotech and who was interested in building this European developer support team. Because at the time people in local offices had provided developer support and they were coming together in a centralized organization for Europe. And I came across to Neuchâtel in July of 1995 and fell in love with the place. I absolutely loved it. Now, my first job as part of that team was back in Guildford in the UK, so I started work there. And that was in 95, and it was originally working with the Work Center API, but also doing some AutoCAD customization support as well, programming support. So I started to learn ADS and ARX at the time. That was around the sort of release 13 C4 timeframe. That's when I kind of joined Autodesk. So I was mainly focused on data management, this data management product called Workcenter, but also on AutoCAD, and spent a number of years in Guildford doing that. I moved across to Neuchâtel from there in '98, and this is really where I wanted to be based. It's just been it's just a beautiful, fantastic environment here, and because of my love for French, it really has been just a perfect place for me over the years. That said, after spending a few years here between '98 and 2000, in 2000 I decided to move across to San Rafael. The opportunity came up for me to manage the Americas team inside DevTech. So I moved across to San Rafael and did that for a few years. And that was really a very interesting experience. I worked very closely with the engineering teams during that period. And, working with the feature teams on various AutoCAD features and their APIs. Helping build the DevTech team as well there. And that was great. So after, I think between 2000 and 2003, I was there based in San Rafael, and then had the opportunity to go and live in India for a couple of years. And this was really for our consulting organisation. We were setting up an offshore development organisation in Bangalore in India. And as I have some background with Bangalore, my mum is actually originally from Bangalore, it was a good opportunity for me to go over there, reconnect with family, and have a really interesting experience. So I ended up managing the DevTech Asia team from Bangalore, but also building it, because we were part of consulting at the time, building it out to include software developers working on consulting projects, which was a very, very interesting experience, going from recruiting in the Bay Area from 2000 onwards, just at the end of the dot bomb, and then doing the same, recruiting in a really hot hiring market in between 2003 and 2005 was really very interesting indeed. So in 2005, the end of my 2 years in India, I moved back to Neuchâtel. So finally, I'm back here, and for the last few years, I've been working from the Neuchâtel office, and at this stage, I'm now managing the worldwide DevTech team, and I split my time largely between my management responsibilities, of course, but also I spend quite a lot of time blogging. So I have my blog Through the Interface, on which I expect this video posted, where I share technical solutions provided both by my team, but also from my own investigations. Because I still very much enjoy playing around with programming technology, with Autodesk software. So I'm still very much focused on AutoCAD. I mean, over the years I've worked with different products, such as AutoCAD Architecture, to a lesser degree products like Revit and Inventor, but very much our component technologies as well, so such as Real DWG, AutoCAD OEM, the DWF toolkit, and Design Review, Freewheel, and Project Draw as well, relatively recently. So I spend a good amount of my time playing around with stuff, and also investigating new technologies such as F#, which is one that I've been spending some time on lately. As back in the day when I was at the University of Kent, I spent some time with functional programming languages, and so when I found out that Microsoft were investing in F#, I was very interested by that, and I've had the opportunity to work with that team at Microsoft on a few things, mainly just to sort of meet with them and share some of what I consider some of the possibilities related to our domain when it comes to functional programming. Okay, well, that's it. I really just thought I'd introduce myself. I hope you've found this useful or interesting. If so, please post a comment on my blog. And who knows, maybe I'll do this again. Okay.